Welcome to the Double Dribble Podcast with Dubin and Dakil. That's Jared Dubin, author of Last Night in Basketball newsletter. Make sure you're following all his stuff. He's dropping great video clips. He's doing it on Twitter. He's doing it on Blue Sky, all the socials. But make sure you're subscribing to the newsletter, folks. You're going to get great stuff from the newsletter. I'm Mo Dakil, former video coordinator with the Clippers Spurs Team Australia. I occasionally write for Bleacher Report. I'm doing videos on Offside. I'm going to be doing the association this weekend on Sunday, so make sure you're checking us out. Me, Alexis Morgan, and Zach Harper. And I think that's it. But, folks, I forgot to mention this last time, and I think we need to mention it now. We have a call to action beyond our other call to action. Our normal call to action: rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Leave comments, all that stuff. You guys know. Watch us on YouTube. Everything you got going, you know that stuff. The important call to action is we need a new theme song. We one of our episodes got dinged because of copyright infringement, which okay, I guess, type of stuff. But the Nintendo company, I don't know if it was Nintendo itself, but did not like that I was using, that I basically stole the Double Dribble intro. And I thought it was perfect for our show, Jared. I don't know what else to say. But we need a new theme song, folks. If we had a budget, we would promise you we'd pay you. But I'll just be honest with you, we don't have money.
Yeah, we do need a new intro music, and I'm upset that the whoever reported the copyright infringement did that. Granted, it was probably copyright infringement. We should not have.
Fair use.
If you're out there, if you're a fan of the show and you want to do like a little 10, 15 second, intro jingle or what have you, we would really appreciate the help, and we'll give you a shout out on the show. And if it doesn't cost too much money, then maybe we can spring for it.
Yeah. It's, by the way, copyright infringement for a video game from the 80s that nobody even remembers but my dumbass when we named this podcast. I don't feel like that should count. I mean, it was like 40 years ago. I think I was like 7 when the game came out. But anyways, I can just complain about that for the hour, and that would be our show. But we actually have legitimately good basketball. Like really good basketball going on in the NBA. It's tough to keep track, Jared. How are you keeping track of it all?
It's tough. Like you said, I am trying to watch my games every single night. I'm trying to do my stats research every single morning and read as much as I can from all of the good writers out there. And that's how I tend to keep up with the games. But it's tough, man, especially when you see, like, you're watching some game and, it's a 25-point blowout between the Hawks and the Magic at a certain point in the fourth quarter, and you see that a crazy Bulls-Sixers game is going on. It's tough not to flip over because you got to keep watching the game that you're watching. But I did watch Bulls-Sixers this morning, so I got to it eventually.
Well, it takes us into our first topic for today, which is the Chicago Bulls. Like, damn, man, like, they've been absolutely amazing. They've been a lot of fun through 7 games. I don't know, look, I know the wheels can fall off very quickly with these things, and I know it can sort of, in a blink of an eye, you're all of a sudden like, oh crap, like they went from being, what are they now, like 5-2, to
They're
all of a sudden 6-1. Excuse me, that's right, they're on top of the Eastern Conference. I know because I just did a video on how they beat the Sixers too. That was dumb of me, but like I know it could change very quickly. But right now, just ride the high. This is amazing.
It's certainly better than anything we expected. How many times did we on this podcast, and I'm sure every other podcast that we've appeared on throughout the offseason, talk about how, like, this team is definitely winning 38, 39 games. I feel like every single person who appeared on any podcast or wrote anything about the Bulls talked about how they're winning 37 to 39 games and losing in the play-in. And certainly so far it looks like they could be quite a bit better than that. We'll see, obviously, whether it continues. There are already some maybe potential signs that, they shouldn't be 6-1. When you look at the expected win-loss based on their point differential on Basketball Reference, it's already, they're 2 games ahead, and that tends to regress. Like, they quote-unquote should be 4-3 based on their point differential so far. There's some stuff that's maybe not quite sustainable going on. Like, how are you going to be as good on offense as they've been when you're 19th in turnover rate, 16th in offensive rebound rate, and 24th in free throw rate? Like, are you really going to keep up shooting a 57.5 effective field goal percentage? Who knows? Their effective field goal percentage defense is really good, but they're not forcing any turnovers. The thing is, they're not fouling anybody, and they're grabbing a lot of defensive rebounds.
But that's good defense,
That
right?
is good
Like
defense. Yes.
we associate forcing turnovers in the hey, you have a good defense. Really, it should be if they can't score on you, it's good defense, right? Like that's how you get there is a different story, and we
But
would
do
like
we
to
really
see easier
think that
buckets.
do we really think the field goal percentage defense is going to keep up with like Nikola Vucevic heavily involved as the basket protector? That's something that I think still got to be a little bit skeptical on. But the big thing, though, that I want to get to is Josh Giddey.
Yeah,
Because this guy is looking like an all-star so far. He put up back-to-back triple-doubles. He was incredible last night against the Sixers. Like, oh my God level incredible. Just doing absolutely everything. We talked about this on the Central Division preview podcast. You were significantly higher on Giddey than I was. And I mean, if he plays anything remotely like this for the rest of the season, I'm going to turn out to have been extremely wrong about what I said about him. And specifically about the shooting, which is sticking around there. And he looks so much more confident in the shot, too, taking it so much more quickly than he has been over the last few years. And it seems like you probably should be getting out there to guard him a little bit more than teams have over the last several years.
I think we're going to see the change in that area. Like, look, Josh Giddey's averaging 23 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists a game. Like, he's close to a triple-double just in his averages, right? And obviously having the last 2 triple-doubles kind of helps in that sense. But when you look at his numbers, and I'm pulling up his NBA stats numbers, you know, obviously the catch-and-shoot 3 numbers, you know, he's shooting 2.3 catch-and-shoot threes, 56%. The pull-ups, he's shooting 33%, which isn't great, but 1.7 attempts. It's good for him, and at 1.7 attempts, that's not a small number for him, right? And it's enough to make you have to actually defend it. Like, I would expect to see teams begin to defend him a little bit more on the three-point line, especially in catch-and-shoot situations. And that's going to change once they get Kobe White out there, too, because then that becomes harder, right? Like, they still have injuries in that area with what they have going. I just love what they've done. Right, and maybe the defense isn't sustainable to the high extent that they're playing at. You know, I know it isn't. 82 games, your defense is going to slip from time, you know, for a bit through the course of the season. But the most important thing is this team competes. They were down 24 to Philly last night.
Yep.
This game looked over, right? Like you stay mostly on one game.
They didn't lead until there were 4 seconds left in the game. They
Yeah.
came all the way, fought the entire game to come all the way back.
And it was like defensive stop after defensive stop. Their offense wasn't great down the stretch. It wasn't pretty. It was like, you know, they would get a stop, the Sixers would get a stop. It would be back and forth. It wasn't pretty, but they gutted this one out in a way that I felt like there's something there with the Bulls in this sense. And I think, again, I don't think people understand how good of a coach Billy Donovan is. Right, and I get it because, like, look at the records and things like that and all that stuff. He has done a phenomenal job, at least to start the season. We'll have to see how this sustains and how it kind of plays out with everything. But, like, damn, dude, like, you watch him. This isn't hey, you're going to get a win when you walk in there. Right? Like, you're in for a dogfight when you walk in there. And, I mean, that play where Giddey hits Vooch for the game-winning 3, like Vooch, Giddey gets into the lane off a double crossover, pulls Embiid over. Grimes doesn't rotate out to Vooch quick enough, and he whips a one-handed pass from one side of the rim to the opposite corner to Vooch, and they drill it. Like, that's like huge. And it's just those types of things that you're saying. We haven't even talked about how well Buzelis is playing. It's still kind of a little bit up and down, but for the most part, you're seeing him improve. We haven't talked at all about Patrick Williams, who all of a sudden looks like a guy worthy of his contract. Like, they're just in a weird, like, what happened?
Yeah. Patrick Williams, Jalen Smith playing well off the bench. Ayo Dosunmu, before he got hurt the last couple games, playing really well. Giddey made a couple of those one-handed whip passes across the court last night. He had one to Jalen Smith in the corner for 3, thinking maybe the second quarter. The strength that he's showing on the drive is something that's really impressive to me. I think that's something that maybe you and Zach talked about on his podcast before the start of the season, where that was one of the things that he really needed to show, because he's what is he, like 6'9" and 200 and something pounds, like being
Soaking
able to
wet.
bounce off of smaller guys is really important. Like even developing a little bit of a post game would be really important for him. But just being able to do the power drive stuff to get to where he wants to go on the court is a little bit different than what he looked like earlier in his career, where he wasn't able to go through guys quite as often, and he's doing that a lot so far.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just pretty impressed with just the globe. And again, this was the question, right? Was like how much of that could sustain from last season to this year. And again, I know small sample size, folks, but this is all we can go off of right now. But it's 7 games in, and I wasn't expecting them to be on top of the Eastern Conference. No. One other thing I like about them, and this is kind of going back to their defense, they don't allow a lot of threes, right? And I think that's a key thing too, though. It's like they really say, like, we're not gonna give you those, right? They're 4th and 3-point attempts allowed. The variance in terms of make and miss and percentage is wild, so it's hard to kind of really bank on that, but they just don't allow a lot of threes either, and I think that's kind of something to keep an eye on as we go through all of this stuff. I'm just excited, man. This is good. It's fun when the Bulls are good.
It's even better, by the way, in percent of opponent shots. They're third in that. Only 35% of opponent shots are threes. Granted, they're only making 34%. Maybe that's a little bit of field goal luck, but if you don't allow them, that's the more important thing. And if you're going to keep opponents to only 35% of their shots from three throughout the entire year, that's a really good sign that your defense is going to be good. So, where are they? They are allowing the greatest number of shots at the rim, 34.2% of shots within 3 feet of the basket, according to Basketball Reference, which is the highest by over 4 percentage points, which is insane. But nobody's shooting well there yet. They're only shooting 65% at the rim, which is about 5% below the league average. Can that sustain with Nikola Vucevic as the primary rim protector, and then with Jalen Smith as the sort of secondary rim protector? We'll see. You can't allow that many shots at the rim, but take away those threes, and you could sort of make up for it a little bit.
Right. Well, at a certain point, there has to be stuff you're willing to kind of give up, right? Like, it's very hard to say we're going to take away threes and take away the paint at the same time, right? Like, you're giving up something somewhere. Now, that's a very high percentage in terms of between them and the next team. And that's probably the area where I would be most concerned, and that's an area where we'll see. I don't expect that to sustain, but if they can maintain keeping you from taking a lot of threes, it puts you in an interesting situation. Now, the key also for them is going to be, can the shooting continue from Giddey? And is that going to be, or is this just a hot run to start the season? I don't know, but I do know this. They're a whole lot of fun to watch right now.
Absolutely. And like, even if the shooting doesn't sustain, like, it's not going to sustain at this level from Giddey. It's insane. But let's say he continues hitting 33% of the off the dribble threes and goes down to 38, 39% of the off the catch threes. You're talking about 35, 36% for the season. And that's, way better than we would see earlier in his career.
Yeah, you got to take that if you're the Bulls there. Not too far from Chicago, a little city known as Memphis, Tennessee. And this isn't so much basketball. This is more just drama. But we had to talk about it because, we saw it on Friday. Ja Morant basically at halftime, I don't want to say quit, but basically was physically there, not mentally there in the game. We all know the story at this point. The Grizzlies suspend him a game for conduct detrimental to the team. His post game presser with the pool reporters afterwards was not good. It was constantly just go ask the coaches, go ask the coaches, go ask the coaches. Maybe they don't want to play me. Came back from his suspension. Not much better, dude. This is a very tough situation to be if you're Memphis. There's a lot of things that I find curious about that I think we'll get answers over probably the next month or two, I would say. Jared, what was your view of everything that happened?
It's not great.
Thank you. Okay, next.
Yeah, honestly, the press conference after the Monday game against the Pistons, where he came
Was
back and
worse.
went, 5 for whatever from the field, 5 for 16 or 17 or whatever it was even worse. Where he was just like totally listless and says he has no joy playing anymore, and what could happen to get his joy back, he doesn't know. Like, it seems like this situation's going to and got to come to a head somewhat soon. I wrote about it this morning last night in basketball. Like, should anyone want to trade for Ja Morant if the Grizzlies decide they want to move him? Like, I was listening to the Hoop Collective I think it was over the weekend or maybe it was Monday, and they were talking about how the production to pain in the ass ratio is out of whack with Ja right now. And I 100% agree with that. And the reason you know that it's out of whack is because we're even talking about whether or not the Grizzlies should trade him and whether anybody should want to trade for him. If that wasn't like, if the production to pain in the ass ratio was not out of whack, we would never have that conversation. There's a reason we didn't have the conversation for several years. And it's because you were perfectly okay accepting what you needed to accept with him because he was good enough to accept it. We talked about this before the season, where he has not been the same guy now since the season that he won Most Improved Player and finished, I think, second team All-NBA and seventh in MVP voting that season. He just has not been the same guy. Big differences. Not shooting well from three. He shot like 35, 36% or whatever it was that year. He's only shooting 31, 32% or something along those lines since then. Down way below that this year. It's like 18, 13, something like that, which is obviously unsustainable, but obviously not encouraging either. The big thing to me is he just doesn't get to the rim anymore. And the best version of Ja Morant, the guy that was like an indomitable force getting wherever he wanted on the floor, was the guy that got to the rim at will and finished there at an elite level. And he just doesn't do either of those things anymore. He's down to 22.9 drives per 100 possessions this season. That's up from like the low to mid 30s when he was at his best. And if he's not going to be the guy that attacks the paint with nearly reckless abandon, but it's not reckless because he's so athletic and can make whatever he wants to happen, then what is the appeal of a guy like that on the size contract that he is and being one of the centerpieces on your team?
Before we start talking about the trade side of it and all, like, I think the drives are a case of just his injuries have really kind of hurt him over time, and that doesn't account for also the stupidity, with the whole gun stuff and the second time and all those dumb things that went with it and the whole circus around him that I think's a problem. I'm going to steal this point from Amin El Hassan, and I think he might have said it. I was either on the Le Batard show or one of the million radio shows he does. But like, he made a great point. He goes like, this is actually Memphis's fault. And it's Memphis's fault because from the moment he got there, they immediately went into placate mode for him. And were willing to put up with all his dumbassery. All the stuff with his dad. All the stuff, like, I'm going to be honest with you, when his dad got into it with Shannon Sharp on the sideline of a Laker game, that should have just been the end of it. We should have never, it should be a situation where, like, you can come to games, but you're sitting in a suite. Like, you're not near the action anymore. When you become a little bit of a sideshow along the sideline, the court side, with all that, like, we can't have that. Obviously, we know the stuff with, like, the stuff with the Pacers and the laser sighting, with, all that. There's all these distractions, all the stuff around him. But this is something the organization allowed to fester. And by the way, they're not alone in this. This is something a lot of organizations do, especially when they draft a guy high. They give him the keys to the kingdom, whatever you want. It's like they can't say no. It's like a spoiled child, right? And then when all of a sudden now they need to start pulling it back and bringing the reins back, they see resistance, and there's a massive problem with that. Taylor Jenkins was his only coach, right? For the longest, he never played for another coach prior to Jenkins, right?
I feel like they had different coaches rookie year, but I'm not remembering off the top of my head.
Well, for the longest stretch, right, Taylor Jenkins was his coach. Then they moved to this offense that he absolutely hated, which was no pick and rolls, and that kind of screwed him up because that's how he actually gets to the rim a lot, which happens when you're injury prone and your athleticism kind of begins to go with some of that stuff. And I think, and I'm not saying his athleticism is gone in any stretch. I think it's more him just not being as willing and forceful of a driver. But there's a lot of that stuff. And when they switched the offense over, you almost felt like with him going like, hey, man, that's the beginning of the end. They must not want me here. Then they fire Jenkins. They fire Noah LaRoche, who put in the offense. Give Isolo the head job, and now you have this sort of thing. Like, I don't know what the organization's plans are, but like it was interesting at the beginning of the offseason when Kleiman was like, we are absolutely not trading Ja. Like, he's still a cornerstone or whatever. And now, like, what did you do in the offseason? Like, did you make a point where Isolo was sitting with Ja throughout the offseason? This is the stuff we want to do. This is how we're going to get you involved. Like, where was the work in the offseason? Because now you come into a situation and you have massive problems. And now the organization has to choose. Are we back in the coach who we just hired? Or are we back in the star player who we have on a contract for 2 more years after this one? Like, it's tough. And then the other thing, too, and this is the important aspect of it, even if you want to back the coach and trade Ja, his trade value is very low. It's at the lowest it's probably been, I would say, besides when he was getting suspended. Like, I don't know what you're getting for him.
It's certainly low relative to his talent level, or his apex talent level. Did you see, by the way, that one of the things that he is upset about with Isolo is the rotation pattern that he's on, which has changed from where he's been throughout his career? Like, typically he's either played like 9 minutes, sat 6 minutes, then played the next 9 minutes, or like 8-8-8 sometimes, because he hasn't been a super high minute guy. He's been like a 30 to 32 minute guy rather than a 36-minute guy. Like, play 8, sit 8, play 8, or like play the entire quarter, sit for 7 or so minutes, and then play the last 5 or so minutes of the quarter. This year, he's on what I call the 6-3-6-3-6 plan, where you play for 6 minutes, sit for 6 minutes, play for 6 minutes, play for 6, sit for 3, play for 6, sit for 3, play for 6. And that's like what Dirk Nowitzki used to be on throughout his career, where it allows you multiple rest periods per half, and it also allows you to play some against bench units at the end of the first and beginning of the second quarters. Apparently he doesn't like that. He wants to play longer stints. So I thought that was an interesting thing, too, that he's pushing back against, because last year it was the offense. Now it's the substitution pattern. They are playing differently offensively, obviously, than they were last year. We saw that under Isolo down the stretch of last season. It was much more pick and roll and much more traditional, which, frankly, for Morant makes much more sense than the offense that they were running for most of last season. And they're back into that kind of mode this year. They're not doing as much of the Heat-esque stuff that the Heat are doing a lot of this year, which is a lot of what the Grizzlies were doing last year. But now it's the substitution pattern. I saw that the other day. Can't remember which Grizzlies beat writer was talking about it, but I saw that the other day, and I thought that was interesting. But
that also goes to my point, too, of like, okay, how was the rotation pattern communicated to him, from Isolo? Is that, like, if I'm going to change his rotation pattern from something he's used to through one way, when I decide I'm going to make that rotation change, I'm going to sit down with him and, hey, this is what I want to do. Let's give it a shot for 20 games. Let's see how that goes for 20 games. If you don't like it and it's not working for us, we can always go back to the 8-6-8 or whatever the numbers are. We can always work our way back to that stuff. But I think that's the important thing. And by the way, folks, I don't want you to walk away going like, oh, Mo's taking Ja's side. I'm taking no one's side. I think both sides kind of are fucked on this in the way they've handled these things. But I think I put the onus on the coach when you're going to make changes. And this is something I've seen with a lot of coaches, Jared. And this, it's a small form of cowardice. Where, like, they don't want to talk to the player. They don't want to explain to the player what this. You get more buy-in from a player when you explain it to them. I've seen it firsthand. By the way, I was an incredibly young coach in junior college. I was a dumbass, right? I just thought, hey, they have to listen to me because I have the whistle without understanding. Like I wish I can go back and talk to my younger self as a coach and be like, no, if you bring them in with you, you can all roll together and they understand it and you'll pick up stuff and they'll pick it up quicker. Like there's a level of that stuff. I feel like there's something a lot of coaches do, like just don't communicate it. Just do it the way we say and that's the end of it, and don't worry about it. Do what we ask and that's it. And it's like I feel like there could have been a level of more communication. And I'm saying this blind, folks. I don't know if they've discussed this beforehand or whatnot, but if Ja's complaining about it now, makes me think they're not. I think that's a issue. And that's the disconnect right there. Is just the lack of communication between the coach and the players is a problem. That's an early sign for me with Isolo, right? Like, hey, man, you're not getting along with your star player. Maybe your star player is the problem. Maybe you're the problem. I don't know. We'll see down the road. But I think the other side, and then I'll stop talking and you can chime in, Jared. But I think the other side of it, too, is like coaching, like the fundamental, most important thing in coaching that people don't understand in terms of what type of job it is. In the NBA, it's a sales job. Every day, you're either selling them on your players, on what you're doing, your game plan, your strategy, everything you have going. You got to sell them every day on it. And if they buy it, you're great. That's why we always talk about getting buy-in. They buy it, it's great. If they're not buying it, you're out. And it's really hard to kind of get that sometimes. And I think that's the thing coaches don't understand nowadays. Is like it's a sales job at the end of the day.
Yeah, a lot of times when we talk about coaching, the things we talk about are the things we can see. Minutes, substitution patterns, different plays that you're running, what your schemes are on offense or defense. But the biggest thing is being able to communicate all of those things to your players in a way that they're going to do what you want them to do whenever they're on the floor, and that they're willing to be on the floor when you want to put them on the floor and be off the floor when you want to take them off the floor. Like you see with the Thunder, yeah, they run great schemes, but they're also able to say, Isaiah Hartenstein, you're not going to start this game, or you're not going to start the second half of this game, or Alex Caruso, you're only going to play 16 minutes today, or Cason Wallace, you're going to come off the bench, or Kenrich Williams, you're not going to be in the rotation tonight. And that is all perfectly acceptable to all of those guys because of the way that Mark Daigneault is able to communicate it to them. On the minutes thing, I think obviously we don't know whether it was communicated to Ja or how it was communicated to Ja. I do know that players are extreme creatures of habit, and one of the things that they're extremely habitual about is the way that they, like when they are on the court, like Jokic plays the whole first quarter and comes out and sits the first start of the second quarter and then plays the rest of the second quarter. Embiid, for the most part during his career, has been that same kind of guy. Steph, for a lot of his career, was that same kind of guy. Now he goes on more of like the 9-6-9 rotation. Him and Draymond do that a lot. But, Draymond is a different point of his career. But I've written a few different stories about this. And one of the things that I've talked about repeatedly was when the Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant were both on the Thunder at the same time, Scott Brooks was the coach, and there was always complaints about how he would never stagger them in the rotation because they would both play the entire first quarter, sit at the start of the second, and then play the rest of the quarter. And, I obsessed over this. Like, it was one of my biggest hobby horses. And then when Scott Brooks was coaching the Wizards a few years later, I talked to him about, because I had written something about it that he had apparently read, and I talked to him about it, and he was like, yeah, neither one of those guys wanted to come off the court during the quarter because they like to play and get in their rhythm for 12 minutes and then sit 6 minutes, and then sit 6 minutes. That was what they both liked to do. That's what they had done throughout their entire careers. And so we deferred to them because that was how they were most comfortable. And if you want guys to be uncomfortable, you got to be able to communicate it to them in a way that, like you said, that they buy it.
Yeah, and that's the hard part. Like, I don't think people understand how hard the job is as a coach. And I say this as a guy who constantly criticizes coaches. I did it on this podcast. Like, it's not like, it's a very hard ass job. in terms of figuring out the rotations and who wants to play. Not just the rotations, who pairs well with who. I can't play this guy with this guy. It becomes the problem, and we might be like, why don't you play them? They're perfect together. It's like, well, no, like we've tried it in practice. It doesn't look good or whatnot. Like we just seem to think we know the answers. The coaches, the staff, the front office always has more information than us. That's the one thing I'll always say. And I will, and like that's a great, anecdote with the Scott Brooks telling you, like, yeah, I would have loved to have staggered those guys, but that's not how they want to play. And the most important thing you said is players are creatures of habits. On top of that, I would say this: players want to know their role more than anything else. They want to know when they're expected to do what they're expected to do, when they're expected to do it, how they're expected to do it. And then that's cool. And then they'll roll with it. And here's the thing, and this sometimes players have to get better at too. Through the course of the season, these things change. And that's where the coaches got to come in going like, hey, man, I know you like to do this. We're in a bind. So-and-so's injured, not going to play the next 3 games. I need to tweak this here for the next few games. Like, I know it's going to be uncomfortable, but you got to be able to figure that out. And sometimes you got to play and deal with being uncomfortable. You got to learn the phrase is what get comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's like those types of things. So, like, I think that's part of it. But it's just hard, man. And this situation with Ja, and I want to focus now more on the trade side of it. Like, apart from, like, trade him to Atlanta, like, I don't really have a good team that would be that interested. Yeah, Sacramento, everybody's favorite. And it's more just because we want to see the shit show that the Sacramento Kings would be with Ja and all that stuff. But, like, I don't see a good team that I would look at going like, I'm willing to give up a lot for him. And the other thing that's interesting, too, is like Desmond Bane was worth 5 picks to the Orlando Magic. Ja's not getting you that. Not right now. And I think that's going to be the other aspect. You are selling low if you're the Grizzlies. Like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I don't know how you deal with that for sure, especially given, like, Memphis still adores Ja Morant for obvious reasons. As far as good teams that would be interested, I think there might be a couple, but interested in giving up a lot, I don't know. Like, could the Rockets or the Timberwolves potentially be interested given the needs at point guard? Maybe, but are they going to give up a lot for him? Like, are the Rockets giving up more than like Fred VanVleet, maybe a couple picks?
Bro, like, why are we even talking the Rockets? He can't shoot. This is a team that needs shooting. Like, we're going to
defend.
Like this is a disaster for them.
Get through, but yeah, I mean, and what the Timberwolves need more than anything is like offensive organization rather than like what Ja brings to the table. They already have like the downhill driving aspect with Anthony Edwards. They need the outside in playmaking, and they need the organization. And I don't know how well Ja fits there either, even if they do have a somewhat obvious need at point guard.
Yeah, I just like that's the thing I look at. Like, yeah, Brooklyn would love to have him, right? Like, they're just stars.
Would they
for
though?
anything.
Like, is that the move they're trying to make?
I don't think so, but I'm just saying, like maybe in the off season. But like, I don't know where you look at him and go, okay, that's a good fit. Like that'd be fun. Charlotte's not trading LaMelo Ball for him. No, why? And I don't.
Washington, maybe.
Why would Washington screw up what they have going?
Yeah.
Like, this is the thing I look at, like, when I'm looking at it. Even the bad teams, he doesn't make a lot of sense for. Like, what is it, Utah? Like, I literally just sit there and stare. Is it Phoenix and pair him with Devin Booker? Like, I don't know if that's a good fit. Like,
it would be fun, at least. It would be fun.
It'd be fun. I mean, good luck, Jordan Ott, first year coaching, and it's like, now you got to deal with Booker and Ja, and a little bit of a shot at Booker that unnecessary. I don't think he's a problem, dude. But like, still, it's 2-star players right off the bat that you have to kind of manage. I don't know. And by the way, that's without looking at what a trade would look like with them. Like, I just don't know where you go with this. And I think, and at the number he has, it could be a really like hard season in Memphis.
Yeah, you can't sell this low is the thing, but you also can't keep going like this if it's going to be this uncomfortable between Ja and Isolo and Ja and the rest of the team and Ja and his level of play.
Like, I'm gonna throw this one out there, and I don't even. Does he make sense in Milwaukee? Again, no idea how you get there, but like, does he make sense there? Like, what's with pairing him with Giannis? Like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm trying to pick teams that I think are good teams. Like, not, if Josh Giddey wasn't on the run and the Bulls weren't on the run, maybe that would have been an option. But like, that's all I got.
And it's wild considering where we were just a few years ago.
Right. It's the fall from grace for this stuff. And I think people also have to appreciate the understanding too of like, because we do this with young teams automatically, and it worked with the Thunder, but like we're always like, this team's next. We all thought Memphis was coming. Right? The way they pushed the Warriors in that series and stuff, we all thought Memphis was going to be rolling for the stuff is so fragile, man. Stuff is so fragile, and how quickly it can kind of fall apart. You ready for a Jordan Poole, Ja Morant trade?
Oh God, the Pelicans. You can never count the Pelicans out from doing something.
So. But those are the trades, right? Like we're looking at it going like, oh God, like that's
Mark Spears did say on ESPN that an exec told him it might have to be like a disgruntled star for disgruntled star type of trade. Granted, Jordan Poole is not a star. So I don't know how much that qualifies, but
I mean, I guess my question, if you're Memphis, like, does his money come off the books this year? Like, that would be the advantage for Memphis, is really in that area. You certainly can't get New Orleans picked this year. I mean, like, it's not like it's
that team 0-7. Zion's hurt now, so
I don't. No, I think they won a game.
Oh, they did win. They won last night, so they're 1-6.
1-6. Ewing theory with Zion. Sorry, just a joke. Just not really an actual thing. I want to get off this one and talk real quickly. This is going to be a little bit quick. We've done a few podcasts for the start of the season and things like that and stuff. We have not talked enough about how good the Oklahoma City Thunder are.
Ooh.
Franchise first 8-0 start. I just did a NBA walking take on Offside about this, but like they're not even fully healthy. They do the thing where like they just kind of chill and then the third quarter go like, all right, let's play now, and it's like it's beat the Clippers last night, going to Portland tonight. Maybe Portland can catch them because it's the second night of a back-to-back, but I doubt it. It's just this team is so deep. It's like, cool. No Jalen Williams to start the season. All right. Mitchell's got us. Cool.
No Chet Holmgren for a few games.
We're fine. No big deal. Isaiah Joe comes back and just lights up the Clippers from three. Like, I understand they're in the Spurs territory of like they're just so good it's boring, and they're a boring group of guys. Sorry, like their personalities just are not. They're just boring in that area. Sorry, they're the most swaggerless champions we've ever had, but like they're also so goddamn good at this sport. Like, are we just not paying enough attention to them?
Probably not. Dan Devine pointed this out this morning in my adjusted efficiency metrics at Last Night in Basketball. Last year, they were plus 11.1 for the season, which was the third best of all time. This year, they're plus 10.4, despite playing the entire season without Jalen Williams. Like, and Jalen Williams might not be back for a little bit. He had the follow-up procedure on his wrist, so we'll see when he's able to come back. But I mean, and that still is eighth best of all time if they keep it up throughout the remainder of the season. Obviously, we're only 7-8 games in, whatever it is, but they're also right now would have the second best adjusted defensive rating of all time, behind only the 2003-04 Spurs, just ahead of the 07-08 Celtics. So, yeah, we are probably not talking enough about how good they are. They won 68 games last year despite not being healthy for most of the season. They set the all-time record for point differential. They won the title, and they're better. And we knew they were going to be better. coming into this year.
Yeah, I mean, one of us was the dumbass that picked them to finish second in the Western Conference, and it wasn't you. So let's just kind of look at their schedule too, though. So it's like, all right, Portland tonight, Sacramento, at Sacramento, at Memphis, home with Golden State, home with the Lakers, back to back on that run. Like, that's what, 9, 10, 11. I mean, they could be 11-0 and then going into that Golden State Laker back to back. I mean, and they're going to be the favorites in all of these games. But
of course, is there going to be a single game all year where they're not favored?
I don't. Especially if SGA's playing in it, right?
I mean, maybe in Denver. In Denver is probably a game where they might not be favored.
It'll be like a plus,
like
a plus, like it'll be like ridiculous, or it might just be a pick 'em. I don't know.
Actually, I take it back because there will be games where they're not playing anybody, and they might not be favored in those games, but they still manage to win those games all the time because it's just like Aaron Wiggins goes for 35.
It's crazy, and I'm actually going to kind of look when do they play Denver in Denver. If anybody wants to sponsor me going to that game, I'm available.
Yeah, please.
I would love to watch that game, especially in Denver. Looks like it's February 1st. But they're just so good. And we didn't even talk about SGA. We haven't even talked about the fact that, like, this dude's probably in the running for MVP again, back to back. Like, it's not even a thing. Like, this is just, everybody talks about the Dodgers ruined baseball, which I don't agree with. And I don't think the Thunder ruined basketball. But, like, it's the same vibe.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that are there no dynasties in the NBA anymore talk that we got all throughout last playoffs was incredibly premature. I was like, this team is one of the best teams we've ever seen, and they're like the fourth youngest team in the league. They're the second youngest team ever to make the finals. Why are we talking about no dynasties? Like, this team's about to go on a run like the Warriors did. Like, they were very reminiscent of the 2016 Warriors last year.
Yeah, I mean, that's just...
Sorry, 2015 Warriors.
They're just so good, dude. They're just so good. I don't have anything else. I mean, and that might be part of the reason why we don't talk about them is we don't have anything else to add other than just walk away going, just shaking our head, going like, they're good. That's it. They're just so good.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can say about a team that is just so much better than everyone else.
All right, I want to real quickly touch on this. I've been blown away by the Lakers. Not by Austin Rivers, who's been incredibly impressive. Not by Luka Doncic, who's looking like he's going to run for MVP. The role players have been really freaking good. What they're getting from Jake LaRavia, and I get it's just 12 points a game. He's shooting 55 from the field, 44 from 3. Again, these numbers will fall off. But like what they're getting from him, what they're getting from Marcus Smart, to go in Portland without Austin Reeves, without Luka, and to get that win, and obviously without LeBron. I just, no LeBron for a while, but like go in there and get that win, and not like win it at the buzzer, but win it in the last 3 minutes pretty handily. Was impressive as all hell. Like, did we underrate these role players?
Maybe somewhat. I think it's also like when you're on a team with a Luka, then you're always going to look better as a role player, I think. Granted, he's only played half of their games, and they've been playing the rest of their games with Austin Reeves. Apparently, Austin Reeves makes guys look a lot better, too, the way he's playing so far this year. LaRavia, by the way, also, in addition to the shooting and whatnot, 1.6 steals a game in 29 minutes a night. Like, DeAndre Ayton has been pretty good. He's getting the 16 and 8 that everybody expected. Those numbers that we just somehow settled on throughout the offseason. He's getting those like almost exactly, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, 16.9 points and 8.1 rebounds a game. In terms of
1.1 block.
Sorry?
1.1 block a game as well. Like he's getting protecting the rim a little bit. Like
Rui Hachimura is shooting like 6,000% from 3 or whatever it is. Jackson Hayes doesn't miss any shots because all of his shots are lobs. Ayton's shooting 65% from the field. Like Luka is averaging 41 11-9 or whatever it is. Reeves is averaging 30-9. Like I saw,
I mean, they're getting stuff.
they're getting stuff from everybody, particularly on offense.
Even Bronny James, 2 assists a game on 13 minutes. Like, that's not bad for a dude that's not your primary ball handler. Nick Smith Jr. coming in, he's only played 3 games. Absolutely torched the Blazers, and that might just be more of a thing. That game was more of the Blazers took their foot off the gas because they realized they thought nobody was playing and got their ass kicked. We've seen that happen a bunch in the season, but that was impressive performance, and I think that was something I'm kind of like, I'm keeping an eye on it, and especially LaRavia. I was like, when they signed LaRavia, I just shrugged my shoulders, like, all right, that's cool. Take a flyer on him. And, I feel like the Shaq meme a little bit where I got to apologize about your game, for that stuff. But, like, the one thing he's done better this season that he hasn't done in the past, he's scoring at the rim. He's shooting 66% at the rim. Now, great, we'll see again early. We'll see how this stuff shakes out. But to start the season, he's really getting to the rim and getting buckets. And that's the stuff I found really impressive. Great movement off ball, catch and shoot. Like, there's just kind of impressed with the role players the Lakers have.
He's just been a really seamless fit for them, I think is what it comes down to. Like, even more seamless than when they had Finney Smith in that role. And he's made a few. I think he's made 3, maybe 4 starts in the 8 games that they played when guys were out. But he just, the way he's shooting, the way he's making plays defensively, like you said, finishing at the rim, he's just been a perfect fit for what they need in that role from the like combo 3-4 type of guy.
All right, Jared, that's enough basketball time. Okay, people come for the basketball, but stay for college football conversations. For those that don't know, I'm a diehard USC football fan, alumni, all that. Jared is University of Miami alum, and his football team played a game this past week. Jared, how do you feeling?
Technically, we played a game. Like, we showed up to the game, and it's so frustrating to continually lose these games to teams that were so obviously better than, because the coaching staff comes into every game like wanting to play a close game and try to pull it out at the end. They absolutely refuse to put their foot down and like try to step on the neck of the opponent and put a game away. I must have talked like 6 or 7 times during the game, like, how is this game even close, let alone that we're losing this game against SMU? Like, it was one of the most frustrating games that I can ever remember watching, but it's also a game that I feel like I've watched 10 times during the Mario Cristobal era, which is now in its 4th season. And it's a game that I feel like I watched 10 times when he was at Oregon. They did the same thing. Like, they would go beat Ohio State and then they'd come out and lose to Oregon State or whoever. And we come out, we beat Notre Dame, we beat Florida, we beat Florida State, we beat USF, all these teams that at the beginning of the season look good. And we come out and lose to Louisville and lose to SMU. One of those games at home, the other of those games in like a 32,000 seat stadium where almost half the fans are Miami fans there apparently. And it's just, it boggles the mind. And then you get to the end of the game, it's 2020, there are like 30 seconds left in the game. We have a timeout and we just kneel on the ball to go to overtime.
That's the Cristobalin.
Why are you paying? Like, you went out and got this $4 million quarterback in Carson Beck, like a 6th-year senior who was at Georgia and went like 24-3 or whatever his record was in those games. And you talk about how you got this great quarterback. You don't trust him with 25, 30 seconds left on the clock to try to get you into field goal range? Like, if you were losing by 3 points at that time, you clearly would have had some plays to try to get you into field goal range to tie the game. Why do you not have plays when you're tied? You're just willingly going to overtime, and then Beck throws a pick on the goal line because he has a miscommunication with Malachi Toney. And then the defense just doesn't even try on the ensuing possession in overtime. SMU runs the ball 4 times, gets right into the end zone. Like, and now we're basically out of the playoffs, like for sure, because there's no way that the college football playoff is putting a 2-loss ACC team in the playoff. It's just not going to happen. It doesn't matter. Like, we're 8 spots or whatever it is behind Notre Dame, despite beating them in the first game of the season. We need to pass at least 6 teams to get into the playoffs because we're number 18. Like, it's not going to happen. Even if we go 10-2, which is not going to happen, we're going to lose at least one more game. So it doesn't even matter. But I saw someone saying yesterday, like, there is no way that the committee will put a 2-loss Miami team in over a 2-loss Notre Dame team, despite the fact that Miami beat Notre Dame. And that is 100% true, but it's also 100% irrelevant because we're absolutely going to lose to Virginia Tech or Pitt in the last 2 games of the season, both on the road. That is going to happen. We might even lose to NC State at home with their quarterback that we recruited some other schmuck over instead of bringing him in.
I'm hoping Notre Dame loses to Pitt. That's really the hope I have with all that stuff.
Notre Dame losing to Pitt would be great for us because then if we beat Pitt, it actually looks good.
Yeah, but it also hurts you, right? Because your big win is Notre Dame, so it's like it puts you in a disadvantage with all that stuff. By the way, it also hurts us over at SC because we lost to Notre Dame, so it's like in that area.
Right? You guys were 19.
We are 19. So first, before we go through what Saturday felt like for me, because it was crazy. We're 19. I am, and this is where I think it will drive you nuts. Because I think we're the opposite. If we go 10-2, and that means we beat Northwestern, we beat Iowa at home, we beat Oregon, and we beat UCLA, which is, by the way, I don't think we're running the table. I don't think we have it in us to run the table. But like, if we did, I think we get in the playoffs. They put us
you would
in
for sure. Jump us. That's no question.
Well, I feel like we would get in. And that's the thing that will piss Miami fans, because Miami fans will be like, we beat Notre Dame. They lost to Notre Dame. Yeah. But I'll just say this in that quick defense, if that irrelevant argument ever comes. Weren't you guys double-digit favorites in both of those losses?
Yep.
Yeah.
We've already lost like 6 of those games with Cristobal. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what hurts your resume more than anything. It's just that you were double-digit. Like, our loss to Illinois is a fucking killer, right? And we were favorites, but it was like by like 4.5 or something, like on the road. Like, that was our loss to Notre Dame. We were 7.5-point dogs. Like, it was, it is what it is. So. But, man, like, I don't know. And I don't think we're going to go 4-0. But we go into Nebraska this past Saturday. And, of course, the Dodgers force a Game 7, which is at the same time, essentially, as this SC game. So now I'm, like, super stressed. Shout out to Rocco's Tavern in Culver City. My buddies got there super early. Credit to them. They, like, confiscated, like, 3 tables. Because we thought we were going to have more people. We ended up just needing 1. We have the SC game on one TV. I was shocked they even put it on. I brought my iPad, Jared, to the bar in case they didn't put the SC game on. Because I was like, I'll just put it on the iPad and we'll watch it there, But they nice enough put it on. And the stress of watching the Dodgers and SC at the same time might have been too much for my little heart. And the confusion me and a couple of my friends would cause when we would celebrate something good that happened in the SC game, right as something bad happens in the Dodger game, is like everybody just kind of looks at us and we're like, no, the SC game though, like, oh, or it's like, yes, no, like the pure kind of like the back and forth sort of situation of it. SC pulls it out, played really bad to start the game. And this is the game we normally lose. Stuck with the run. Mayava had probably his worst game. We still pull it out, get the W, get the win, and it's kind of the win that we're hoping will propel us in that stuff. The only thing that scares me is we now play Northwestern on a short week. We play them Friday night, and Northwestern's coming off the bye. So I'm just like, God, if there's ever a game that screams trap, and we're 14.5-point favorites. So I'm just like, no. If ever a game screams trap to me, Jared, it's this game right here.
Those Friday night games get weird, man. That was when we lost to Louisville.
Yeah, I am terrified. I'll be there crying if we lose. But I'll be there with a buddy of mine. But I am definitely stressed out about that game. Northwestern, scrappy team, Jared. And then, of course, shout out to my Dodgers pulling out one of the gutsiest, World Series comebacks. Down 3-2 going to Toronto. It's a double play that ends the game 6. Great throw from Kike. I was going to say pass. Great throw from Kike to Rojas. Rojas coming up monster huge in the 9th inning, to tie the game. Then Will Smith to take the lead in the 11th inning. And Yamamoto, this dude, pitches a great game 6 and then just closes it out in game 7. This will show how mean I am, Jared. First off, let me just say, by the way, the bar goes completely ballistic when Mookie turns 2 to win the game. Just the high you ride was unbelievable. That's why it's more fun to go to a sports bar for those games than go to a friend's house or something like that. The sports bar is more fun in that environment. But the part that makes me a mean person, I've enjoyed nothing else but scrolling through Instagram and whatever and watching Blue Jay fans react to losing that series. Because they were the better team. They played better. We didn't have our bats this game. Even our starting pitching kind of, besides Yamamoto, fell off a little bit. Their stars played like stars. Our guys struggled, and we still pulled it out to go back to back. And I'm just telling you now, I'm so excited. And listening to the parade, everybody's all pumped up. Everybody's focused on one thing: the repeat, baby.
Yeah. I kind of still want the Yankees to be the last team to three-peat, but I also want them to lose that because I want them to realize that what they're doing now isn't good enough, and they need to start going getting all the players like the Dodgers do. Otherwise, what the hell is the point of being the Yankees? So I'm I don't want them to do it, but also it might push the Yankees into doing the thing that they should already be doing.
So deep down, it's it might not be the worst thing on your viewpoint of it.
If the Yankees aren't going to win, which let's be honest, they're not going to win because they're not going to try hard enough to win because they don't actually care about winning, then I would almost prefer that the Dodgers win to shame the Yankees into doing what the Dodgers do.
And everybody who's the Dodgers just bought this championship,
good.
Look,
go do it yourself. There's no salary cap in baseball.
But not even that. Will Smith is a dude we've brought up. Max Muncy's been with us forever. Rojas is a guy that's been with us a year or two. We've also developed some of these guys. Some of this is more just we've also brought guys up.
There's no moral superiority to winning with homegrown players rather than players that you acquired in trades or free agency. There's no different levels of what counts. The banner flies just as high. The rings are just as shiny, presumably even more shiny for the Dodgers because they have more money than God. But it doesn't matter. You win how you win. Go and get all the players. Every team in Major League Baseball can do it if they want to.
Yeah, well, anyways, I hope they don't. I hope we continue to do this and continue to do our thing. I would love to three-peat. It's a long ways to go with everything that we have. I think that's our show today. Anything else, Jared?
No, man, that's it. Just, subscribe to the podcast, Spotify, Apple, wherever else you get your podcast, youtube.com/@DoubleDribblePod. Subscribe to Last Night in Basketball. Check out Mo on Bleacher Report, Offside, the Association on NBA TV. Give us those 5-star reviews. Give us the likes and subscribes and whatnot. And, I think that's all we got, right?
Yeah, and also the call to action, folks. Please, if you have any inkling, you want to give it a shot and want to help us out with a little bit of a theme music that won't get us banned, would most certainly love that, and would appreciate that, and we'll see what we can do on the back end of that stuff. That's it. Thank you for listening to the Double Dribble podcast.
See y'all.